spell it out for you guys. Straight line construction, okay? From here on out, curves are gone. Not because I don't like them, okay? It's that things are more easily measured by angles and straight lines, okay? Because you have to decide on the threshold where the apex of something where it turns, okay? And as I get a little further in this drawing, it'll make a little more sense to you. And well, another thing is like, I can't explain that to you. I cannot explain that to you. I can explain this to you. I can be like, okay, this line's too short, too long, the pitch needs to lay down or stand up, okay? I can explain it. I cannot explain a curve. So you have to learn to decide where the threshold of these curves, like where they change, and make a decision about it, okay? And then you can always come back and soften corners up or do whatever. But the head is kind of very angular and it lends to like an angular structure. Another thing I write is shape, okay? We're looking for shapes. We're shape hunting. We're not just drawing a contour around the edge and hope we like end up, just because we walk around the lake, we're gonna end up on the other side of it. No, okay, you gotta be try to like look at relationships of things together. Okay, so don't be afraid to kind of pull your lines a little more. You might even just work on this before we even kind of work on shadow shapes. Maybe we'll just kind of work on a contour drawing first. And don't worry if these things look kind of mechanical, okay? Keep them simple. Just for reference, posterity, try to put the box. Okay, so the next thing, like once I get it this far, so I got kind of simple contour going, is I'm going to kind of squint it down to see which things kind of group with the light and which things group with the dark. And also what squinting does is it's going to show you the more simple impression of things, and it's also going to show you, like, if we look at, say we talk about the neck here for a second. Okay, so maybe I'm just kind of masking some of these shadow shapes. It will show you how things simplify and that you won't get caught in like the nuance of the drawing or painting. Okay, so maybe I'll look at this portion of the neck. Okay, it's kind of softer, and I kind of see that if I was going to draw it a little more accurately, kind of breaks up. There's a little soft variation. Okay, but when I squint, I see all this kind of consolidate into like, I can almost see like a big, like a 7 or something here, or maybe like a weird T kind of thing. Mm-hmm. Especially like, if you kind of rationalize it into some kind of a shape you can name, it really kind of helps. Okay, so squint and look how things simplify, look how the light and the dark separate. And when I say squint, like, I'll kind of show everyone. We know what squint is in Arizona because we've gone to our car during a dust storm. Okay, that's a squint. That's like your eyes are almost shut, like trying to keep dirt out. I'm trying to get valley fever. Okay, like squint, like you got. It's not kind of like this kind of squint. It's like way squint. You got to squint deep hard. And I hate this shit so much because I have to tell people squint all the time, and it sounds like the most basic farcical art school stuff, but it really does help simplify things. It does. It makes you see the big, simple impression. So it's probably one of the most important things for just seeing shapes, seeing value, seeing proportions, okay, all those things. So it's a habit you just have to start doing. I think the problem with the students don't gravitate to it right away because it's like they don't understand what they're looking for, what they're seeing when they're squinting the first time, and then you got to just keep doing it. It is the most repetitive like advice I have to give all the time, and I'm like, how many more years can I just tell people to squint? I go crazy, but it is really useful, and but squint to see shapes, and then later we'll talk about you're going to squint to see value relationships, but right now. Just look how the light and shadow separate.
Our new name tags are squint 1, squint 2.
Yeah, squint. Yeah, it does to help to write it on your paper. It really does. Write squint up in the corner, and it'll just remind you to do it. And then I don't have to remind you to do it. You can save my energy for more complex stuff.
When you draw and you can't draw what you're looking at, you realize you're not squinting.
Yeah.
It's true.
Well, I don't remember. There's something I just had read. I can't reference my sources, but like most of what you see is based on memory, or your brain fills in the gaps a lot, and like that's the hard part of overriding. Like doing representational artwork is learning how to override. It's crazy how simple it really is. Like what the techniques are, they're not crazy hard. I mean, they're hard, but they're not. Like I feel like I could write it all down in like a couple of pages of what like the bare bones minimum of, or like what you need to do to like draw from observation. Okay, it's not gonna make you a great artist, but it can make you learn how to cite stuff. It's just one component. Okay. Getting messy here. Sometimes you get a soft charcoal that's really soft. Okay, so something I want you kind of to pay attention to what I'm doing is I'm only putting in the light and the shadow, or actually better, I'm putting light and dark in, so it doesn't even matter. Okay, so I'm not like, when I draw the mouth, I'm not doing this. There's a terrible mouth. I'm not outlining like this, okay? I'm only, the expression of the mouth is only through my interpretation of the shadow. So a better version of this. We're just gonna let areas that you're gonna let go. Okay, even with the lip, some of it's gonna get lost. Like here's the outline of the lip, but then that's where the shadow is. Okay, lose it. Okay, light, shadow, that's it. That's all we gotta do. Okay, I'm gonna write, there's a term in Japanese called notan, and it's where they just interpret light and dark shapes, and that's it. If you look it up, you'll probably find you'll find a bunch of cheesy construction paper cutout stuff that kindergartners do, but it's actually a very important way of designing, because when things work in two values, then they generally kind of work. Okay, and if you're building off that, your simple design works off two values, and then you got some good structure going. Okay, without getting this too much further. Okay, so again, you can just kind of start your simple lay-in. Ask yourself what position it is before you go any further. Okay, and then we're gonna just do all this, and then from there it's straight line construction. Okay, and look for shapes. Okay, look at, like if I isolate this, or if like just try to visualize what that is compared to, like, look at the positive, look at the negative. Okay, there's our positive, there's our negative. Look how they fit together.
Do you prefer to work with the charcoal stick?
It depends. On newsprint, I like it because it's just faster, and on newsprint I usually use a softer, like a 6B, just because there's not a lot of tooth on this smooth newsprint, so like you need something a little softer.